Hi, and welcome to our first of our joint webinar series with Relativity and Moray. Each webinar will focus on a feature and how Moray are building expertise leading up to Relativity Fest on the 10th and 11th of June. We look forward to meeting you at the event. Today's title is AI in Legal Review, Breaking Barriers and Building Trust with Relativity aIR for Review. Once you've listened to the webinar today, you'll have an opportunity to download an application to receive a Learning Lab license to try it for yourself and not just rely on what we're going to talk to you about today. I'm your host, Sophia Steckler, and I'm a Senior Director at Moray, and I work very closely with Harry Jones, our delivery lead, and he works with many of our top leading legal, banking and corporate firms. We also have our Relativity's expert product consultant and Relativity master, Jacqueline Dene, fondly known as JD. Thank you for joining us today, both of you. Really appreciate it. So let's kick off straight away and dive into the topic of generative AI. What actually is it, and why are our clients increasingly interested in using it?
Sure. So I'll start here. Generative AI is really a hot topic, and it's filled with a host of new legal, ethical, and technological questions. Now, generative AI's development may seem sudden, but it's actually built upon decades of concepts and practices from traditional AI. Unlike previous forms of artificial intelligence or AI, though, generative AI generates new data based on a prompt and as informed by a large data set that it's already trained on. The legal industry and the world at large are being revolutionized by the many forms of this type of technology. And we're even seeing AI assistants like ChatGPT, Copilot, et cetera, that are helping in daily completions of tasks just in our normal everyday lives. Specialized AI solutions for legal are here too now, and they're created to be fit for purpose, specifically catering towards e-discovery and other legal use cases. Whether you're excited or cautious about using AI for legal work, the fact remains it can change the workflow of legal teams, save law firms time and money, allow firms to refocus organizationally, and then also redefine the document review process with new processes and tools along the way. And of course, as the volume of data that needs to be reviewed in e-discovery continues to rise, we continue to kind of see that year-on-year rise, the pressure remains on for costs and timelines as well, because those also keep growing in tandem. So our clients are really seeking solutions to tackle these challenges more efficiently. Hence, we've developed aIR for Review and other tools in our aIR suite in that response.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Sure. I know Relativity's developed a powerful suite of tools called Relativity aIR, which incorporate generative AI in them. So in this webinar, what we're going to do today is walk you through the key considerations when you're using one of the tools in the suite. And aIR for Review is something we're going to talk about today, alongside the workflows that accompany that as well. So you can really maximize the potential and ensure your project's success as you go along. But JD, do you want to just provide a brief description of what that is?
So we'll add to this a bit later in this particular session, but aIR for Review is Relativity's generative AI tool that speeds up the document review process. It uses our custom Gen AI solution to handle the bulk of first-level review type work. It analyzes documents and then makes coding predictions backed up with rationale, considerations, and citations to add assurance on the results and its predictions. And it's fast. So while I feel like this number is always increasing, at the moment we're seeing a minimum of about 80,000 documents analyzed in a 24-hour period. So we're not joking when we talk about the throughput. And it doesn't get bored, doesn't mind working overnight and weekends. And this really allows legal teams to sift through that data quickly, because Gen AI and Relativity aIR for Review is doing that kind of heavy lifting on that review part.
Thank you very much, JD. What are some of the considerations you need to think about before using it on a project?
Sure. So, it's worth calling out that aIR for Review isn't a one-size-fits-all type tool to be used for absolutely every review. Notably, the tool relies on the extracted text of a document, and it uses that four corners rule. So as such, it works really great on text-based documents, including short message data and also Excels. But if you do have a review which relies largely on like media content, image, video files, or metadata, you're doing kind of, investigative type review, looking at shell bags and that kind of things, you'd be looking at a different solution for those. So as I always say, though, do watch this space. We have plans in the pipeline to even broaden analysis beyond purely text. And I just feel like in general, the technology is growing much, much more apace with the developing nature of the needs of the industry. So actually, I mean, really, if you think about it, the considerations are very similar to those that you might have in place when you're thinking about an active learning type case, with the notable exception that aIR for review can handle a broader set of file types. And I would say as a call out here, aIR for review works best when you have a durable collaboration with case SMEs or lawyers, particularly in the early stages, as the tool does rely on having someone who can not only help with the prompts, that's basically what tells the tool what it is that you're looking for across your data set, but then also be able to interpret aIR's results and understand where the prompts may need to be tweaked. And I think too, it's a reality. This is a new tool. It's a new technology for our industry. So you want to have discussions around how you want to handle validation for the project. Typically, we see our clients look to run statistical sampling or validation rounds in Review Center, for example, so that they can obtain precision and recall stats to back up their review. And actually, Harry, let me defer to you on this one. What kind of questions are your clients typically asking you when you're discussing using aIR for review on one of their projects?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. The main question we're getting is how we can get the most bang for our buck, which, as you know, comes from understanding their specific needs and goals for the review. Since aIR for review can be implemented in a variety of different ways, depending on the scale of the project, the volume of data, and the complexity of the review, we work with our clients to map out a customized workflow that ensures they can maximize the tool's potential. As of now, we've seen great success across 4 key workflows. We have our standard ECA, which allows you to start strong by gaining valuable insights right at the beginning of the case, so you can better understand the matter and make smarter, more informed decisions straight from day one. First pass review and prioritized review that lets automation do the heavy lifting, quickly surfacing the most critical documents for review, helping you determine what to produce and even uncover key insights faster and more efficiently. We also have the ability to analyze productions from other parties. aIR for review simplifies the task of reviewing documents from opposing parties so you can easily identify and access the most important materials so your team can make timely, informed decisions. And finally, quality control. This enhances accuracy and consistency as you can compare reviews' coding decisions to the AI.
So how does aIR for review actually work, JD?
So aIR for Review's analysis is powered by Azure OpenAI's GPT-4 Omni large language model. Now, in eDiscovery, we have been working with machine learning models for quite a while now, but this is a different animal. It's a type of artificial intelligence trained to understand and generate human language. You can kind of think of it like a super advanced autocomplete system. You can send it queries, and because it has read a massive amount of texted information, it has already learned how words and ideas usually go together, and it can then draw on that knowledge to generate a response for you. Specifically with aIR for review, our data scientists have done the prompt engineering already so that users can input details about their case to help fill the gaps and what the large language model wouldn't already know. For example, if you're writing your prompt and you're asking aIR to identify evidence of sexual harassment, it understands what you're looking for. You wouldn't have to explain the concept of sexual harassment. You just need to tell aIR the specifics of your case and what you're looking for. I mean, if there's niche slang or industry kind of lingo in play, you would likely need to define those for aIR for review, but it's starting from a pretty knowledgeable place as it's already been trained on such a massive data set. So for users, it's not that sort of scary prompt engineering that you may have been hearing about. It's really much more akin to writing something like a review protocol. And I think the results stage is really where the Gen AI aspect comes in handy here. So once you fill in your prompts, you've run your analysis, aIR for review will give you a coding prediction, cite the actual document text that it used to come to that prediction, and then write you a rationale and consideration for each document. This gives you real insight into how aIR has arrived at and is defending its decision, as well as its attempt to play devil's advocate on itself. And it's really all in one place. So this is different from, say, ChatGPT, where you can query the system, you get a result, but it's much more of a black box process. You don't really see how it arrived at the answer it's giving you.
Okay, all right, so that makes sense. But does Relativity retain the data, or where is it stored? Can another client even get access to that data?
Oh, yes, and actually, thank you for this, because this is a really important call out that I want to emphasize here. So OpenAI does not retain any of the data from the documents being analyzed after processing. Data that you submit to aIR for review is not retained beyond your organization. Moreover, it is not used to train the model, and your data is not made available to OpenAI, Microsoft, or any other third party.
Okay, that's good because that is, I think, an initial question some clients ask when they come to us. That's great. That's answered that. Brilliant. Thanks, JD. So going back to the workflows using aIR for review, I mean, what do you think the most important aspect of making aIR for review work?
So from my experience, the key to successfully using aIR for review really lies in the collaboration between the SME and the project leads. Unfortunately, it's not as simple as just uploading the review protocol and asking for aIR for review to review everything. What we typically recommend is starting with a small set of 100 documents that are potentially relevant, but also include a small sample of non-relevant documents. This gives us a really solid foundation to test our prompt for relevancy, issue codes, and key. Once these prompts are entered, we run the first round of testing by validating the coding decisions. If the results aren't quite what we expected, we can refine the prompts and test again to improve the outcome, while aIR for review will track each iteration of the prompts should we ever need to backtrack. Once we've refined the prompts and we're happy with the outcome, we can leverage it across the wider population. We found this saves both time and money.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's pretty cool. So, I mean, thanks for explaining it. But have you got anything you could sort of show us, maybe like a little demo or anything for us to have a taster of it?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a demo coming up very shortly.
Okay, great.
Hey everyone, I hope you're all enjoying the webinar. And today what we thought would be beneficial is to give you a little bit of a show and tell of the tool, just so we're all on the same page. So here we have a workspace with over 5,000 emails and short messages using a fabricated data set based on the fictional company Big Thorium. At a high-level overview, Big Thorium is accused of mistreating its workers in the building of its new plant, specifically its foreign workers. So, as we're all aware, this is Relativity. So, what we would first want to do is navigate to the aIR for Review project tab. Now, I'm going to click into aIR for Review project. And it's going to load up. Now, these are two of the projects that I've created earlier. And I'm going to go back to these just a little bit later on. So to create a new project, what we want to do is select New aIR for Review project. And as you can see here, you just need to enter your project name, description, data source, prompt criteria, and analysis type. So for this one, I'm going to type in very simple Big Thorium demo. The data source is going to be a small 50 document population that I created earlier. And I am going to start blank, and then the analysis type for this purpose is going to be relevance. And the early case insights is going to be the project use case. So once I go ahead and create the project, we're going to be able to see where the magic happens. Great. So here we are. This is how you create your project using Relativity aIR for review. So first you have your matter overview. And it's very simple. This is just going to be an overview of the matter. And, we just want to provide some background about the investigation or the project, usually based on a document review protocol. We've also got people and aliases, and we've also got noteworthy organizations and noteworthy terms here at the bottom. So this is very handy. In this project, they talk about papers, they talk about green cards, and they also talk about certain buildings that are owned by Big Thorium. And then next up, we have the relevancy tab here towards the top. Once I select relevance, I'm going to be able to select the drop-down menu here from the relevancy field, and I'm going to select the field that we would like to use for relevancy. So scroll down, we're going to use responsive, and the relevant choice is going to be responsive. So what we first want to do is kind of hash out our relevance criteria. Now, for this project, this would be the relevancy criteria that we did use. So documents are responsive if they contain information directly related to the legal issues or provide context to discriminatory treatment or retaliation faced by employees. Documents that discuss job assignments or project meetings that not provide context to discriminatory or retaliatory treatment must be considered non-responsive and irrelevant. Any document containing communications between at least two of Williams Davis, Francis Ham, or Samantha Jones are also responsive. Once these have been filled in, we can very easily press save, and it will take you over to the next tab Now, just for the sake of argument, I'm not going to run this now. I'm going to go back to the ones that we created earlier. So again, clicking aIR for review projects. And I'm going to go into the relevant and key documents that we made earlier. As we can see, the case summary has all been filled out. Relevance has also been filled out along with some of the issue fields. And then we've also got key documents. And we'll go into a little bit more detail about key just a little bit later on. Now, once it's been run, we'll start to get a breakdown right here. So as you can see, this is version 1. As we've mentioned before, you can run multiple versions of this and it will keep it saved. It's a very, very handy feature just so you can recall what you've done previously. So as we can see here, we've analyzed 50 documents. 2 have aired out, so these were Excels, and another one was because the document was too large. Now, aIR analysis and what has aIR categorized them as? Well, we can see 7 are non-relevant, 21 are borderline, and 20 is considered relevant or very relevant. Now, these are dynamic, meaning you can go through and click, and you can just get straight away insights into which category you would like to see. And we can also do the same for relevant. So starting with relevancy, because it is usually the most interesting one, we can see here straight away, this email contains evidence of potential coercion and retaliation against Arvind Patel. Williams Davis is using the incident to pressure Patel into not contacting reporters and to continue working without causing trouble, which can be seen as coercive behavior. Now, if I click into this document, it's going to start loading up all the responsive and key document criteria. Now, one of the best things about is that it will give you the rationale and the considerations, so you know the decisions that are being made. Now, the best thing about this is that you're able to easily click to see what exactly are the considerations, while it's also highlighting it in the document. And further down here, we can see it's also flagged it as a key document. Very similar to what it's done before. It's giving you the rationale, the considerations, and it's giving you the breakdown of where you can find this in the document. Now, as you noticed, this is only relevant in key documents. Issues is actually run separately. Now, what I can do is click into the relevant or to the issues project. And I can do the same here. So if I click on relevant, and I can start scrolling through, as we can see here, got the rationale, considerations of treatment, and then we can also see segregation and coercion and the decisions behind that is made. So again, thank you very much, and I'll hand it back over to Sophia for the rest of the webinar.
Thanks, Harry. Thanks for recording that. Really appreciate it. It looks amazing. It looks great. But have you actually got any real life kind of customer conversations or what you work for other projects on? Can you actually talk to us about that?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. One of our most recent client success stories is a great example of how aIR for review is used to assist in a time-sensitive review. To give some additional context, we were engaged in a business litigation project during the holiday season. During our initial conversation with the client stakeholders, it became clear that outside counsel had very limited resources and were actually unable to conduct a full document review. The primary concern for outside counsel is producing the documents before the opposing party. What we recommended was leveraging aIR for review, and then once they were happy with Moray to proceed, quickly deployed it in the workspace, and our team collaborated closely with outside counsel to refine the prompts for deployment. Once refined, we ran the prompts across a broader dataset, which enabled us to quickly identify a core pool of documents for aIR for review that were considered relevant. Once our responsive documents were isolated, we were then able to conduct a more efficient review by removing the non-relevant documents. To further accelerate progress, we utilized Prioritize Review, another tool in the Relativity suite, to surface the most relevant content first. As the review progressed, there was a small number of non-responsive documents that were in the pool, and we decided we knew it was the right point to close the review and move into the reduction phase.
Oh, wow. I mean, that's brilliant. So, I mean, it's perfect because with us at Moray, we do fixed pricing for review work as well. So the client's going to know exactly how much it's going to cost. And obviously we've got our on and offshore capabilities. So working 24/7, etc., can obviously I imagine, pulled all that information ahead of the time to get it back to them as soon as possible. So that's absolutely brilliant. Okay, so those that actually want to try aIR for review after watching the webinar today and hearing a little bit more about it, you can download a Learning Lab license, but technically, JD, what do they need to actually get to get going on it?
Sure. So to get started with the lab itself, all you really need is about 20 minutes of your time and a willingness to try it out. You'll get access to an online demo workspace and a short workbook with tasks to complete. And this will give you hands-on access to an aIR for review environment at no cost to yourself. So call me a bit of American in saying this, but why not try it out, right? For aIR for review, all you need is a data set which needs reviewing. Again, calling out that aIR for review is focused on text analysis. You'll also need an SME who can tell you about the case at hand and what notions of relevance or issues revolve around it. Of course, I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention that, partnering with an expert firm like Moray here is also a great way to both get your hands on in the tool while benefiting from the guidance of a team who has the experience to ensure your success, as we've kind of heard about in some success stories that they shared earlier here today.
Yeah, I mean, that's brilliant. Thanks, JD. Okay, so thanks to both of you. I mean, it's been really informative today's webinar, and hopefully people listening have learned a lot as well. If you think you're not ready for AI, I would definitely think again about it. You can contact myself with any questions you may have. So it's sophia.steckler@moray.com. You can also click the link at the end of the presentation or visit our website under webinars to download, and you'll be able to download your free Learning Lab license there today. Numbers are limited, so please reach out sooner than later. And we really welcome you and look forward to seeing you at RailFest on the 10th and 11th of June. Thanks for your time, guys. Thank you.